Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Talk Tuesday. It's Susan Wilkinson-Cox, your host, with an amazing spiritual lady that's going to be joining us very soon by the name of Nicola Russell. But first, what I wanted to do is just remind you that if you come on board here today and you've got any questions or you want to know any information, or you have anything you want to share, then please share it with us, particularly with our guests, because this is a whole new subject for me. We're talking light language, or I am not. I'm hosting the talk. But what I wanted to do is catch up with you and say welcome. I hope you're all well. I wanted to remind you that tomorrow morning at 6:30, I have my morning meditation if you'd like to join me. Every Monday there will be either a live or a post on an affirmation. And that the idea of that on a Monday is to really start your week off with something positive about you, and to remind you, if whatever affirmation I put up, you can alter it so it fits or resonates with you. A reminder also to keep yourself positive. These are, not great times, but if people get into our minds so much, it can bring us down, and that's not what we're about. We're beings of light, so we want to raise that vibration, not just for us, but for other people. A reminder to journal, and also I've got my top motivational tips. So if anybody wants an electronic copy of these, then privately inbox me or put it in the messages and I will send this out to you. It's just tips to just keep your vibration high. And if you're watching this on replay, then just do #replay. But don't be afraid to say hi and, have a chat with us in the comments. Oh, hello, ladies are coming in already. Hi. Right. So wanted to tell you what was coming up. Also, next week, we have Claire Owen from Soberholics coming in. And then in the weeks preceding that, I'll have a few more guests, and two particular guests are going to come on, and they're going to be talking about writing a book, how to write a book, what motivated them to write a book, and so on and so forth, because I do believe that we've all got a book in us, including me, though I've not done that just yet. So we will do that. What else did I want to share with you is, remember, wherever you are, whatever's happening with you, you're not alone. You can always send me a message or questions privately if you need to. So without further ado, I think I've covered the news and the things that are coming up. If there's anything else, I'll tell you again at the end. But let's bring in Nicola Russell. Nicola is an amazing lady. She is an intuitive quantum energy healer, and that is an awful lot. She's got masses of information, masses of skills and talents, and that's probably an understatement in what I'm saying, actually. I'm not going to try to explain any more about it. I'm going to bring Nicola in and we'll begin our Talk Tuesday. So thank you all for joining us. Nicola, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Can I just say I love your introduction and your preview with all your things that you're doing with the people that are following you, and that's absolutely beautiful. It really sort of sat in my heart, and thank you for that. That's amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. Well, what I thought might be apt, and that people will start asking questions shortly. So there's a few people on already. So thank you very much, everybody that's come on board, listening and joining us. So don't be shy, please. This is Talk Tuesday. It's not just about me and Nicola. It's about you as well. So what I wanted to do is, before we get into the crux of it, I've just said that you are an intuitive quantum energy healer. Mm-hmm. So what I want to know before we start going on to the subject of the light language is, tell me a little bit about your journey that brought you, what you do and what brought you here.
Yes, I mean, like most people, it starts off with this sort of trauma that happens in our life. So there's always something negative that starts us with starting to question what's actually happening with our life and where we want to be, and sort of how we actually feel about our own personal life. And that sort of really sort of propelled me into meditation. And then through meditation, then I started then attending some sort of workshops. It was probably about 8 years ago or so that I sort of started off on the journey. And then I went through sort of really sort of periods of time of meditation, which then I started to really open up to things that I really didn't understand. I started on that sort of journey. and then went into sort of a little bit of the sort of psychic and mediumship, which I didn't get a massive, great big connection with mediumship, I must say. I had certain sort of spirit come to me, but that sort of progressed into a different line, which I'll sort of talk about in a minute. And then as I then went through my journey, I then opened up to energy healing. So I started with Reiki, which was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And that absolutely sort of felt so right. I just sort of knew that I had to do it, and it was sort of something that was so beautiful. Yeah, and then as a result of that, it then sort of progressed into the awakening of my light language, which is the subject that some people may not be aware of, but it is something that's an absolute gift that has been unveiled within me. And so then it's sort of progressed into sort of mentorships and online courses. So it's really expanded throughout the time, which is great.
So you say really the last 8 years have really been quite progressive for you. But prior to that, for my journey as a little girl, I would say here, I just know things, you know, with regard to my connection with spirits. But did you feel any of those, or having any, what shall we call them, odd things happen to you when you was younger?
Yeah. As a child, I was really, really shy. I didn't hardly speak to anybody, and I really didn't feel that I fit in with anybody. That, you know, they had all these sort of friendship groups at school that would sort of click together, and I'd be sitting out very shy on the outskirts of it, and it would be something that I just really couldn't connect with anyone. And my speech was really sort of quite poor at a very sort of young age as well. But I sort of felt that there were things that used to scare me. The dark used to scare me, so I shut myself down in lots of ways. Then it sort of came in and out, because my mum used to like going to spiritualist churches and things like that, and having, you know, sort of card readings and things like that, psychic prayers, and, you know, dabbling with that. I knew something was going on, but I didn't quite understand what was happening. So it just sort of, you know, sort of like went like that. And then through my teenage years, got married really young. So I got married at 19. Then I had a family sort of 13 years after. So I was very much sort of in that sort of normal 3D sort of reality, really, sort of getting on with that sort of materialistic lifestyle. And then the trauma, and then it's all then took off from there.
And I think I'd like to say at this point to anybody that's listening, and those that are more spiritual beings, that there is often a trauma in somebody's life, like you had said, that propels them. But also what happens, we can start to have this awakening, I'm going to call it. And then as soon as, bang, we get into that marriage or that family or that responsibility or the university, it all seems to come to a grounding halt without you realizing it. And then you almost go off your path to come back on it again.
Yeah.
You can have more time. So I completely identify with that. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So where would you like to be? I've got lots of questions for you, but I think I'll ask them as you go. But I think I must ask this first question just to set us off. And just welcome to anybody that's joining us now. Do ask us questions. Warner, Diane, Claire, Alex, Avril, everybody else, welcome. Thank you very much. Don't be shy. But one thing I want to ask you, and I don't know whether this is the right time to ask or not, but I'm going to. Can everyone speak light language?
Yes. Okay.
So you talk about light language then, and I'll throw the questions in as the people say. I'm so excited because I know nothing.
Yes. So light language then is, if we actually look at it at a quantum level, so quantum meaning actually energetic in its simplest form, so everything is energy, and the sort of scientific folk are sort of like jumping on board with this, and actually it is really sort of, you know, the spiritual have actually known this for many times, but the logical mind set have now sort of know that they have to prove everything. So everything is quantum, so that means everything is energy. So it doesn't matter how dense it is, if it comes in a physical form or whether it comes out in more energetic, so the invisible stuff that's around us. Yeah. And if we see that that's energy, everything that is energy is light. So regardless if it's a vibration that is solid or whether it's coming out with a sound wave, which again is energy, everything that vibrates is made out of light. So the evolution of the language that we are experiencing is coming from a linear language that has a subject matter, has a solid thing about it. So like a hand, a face, hair. So a linear language has something attached to it. Where light language is a dialect that is coming from higher levels of consciousness that we are a part of. So we are just a fragment of consciousness. So everybody is everybody. So it's the cosmic law of one. I don't know if your viewers have heard of that, but the cosmic law of one states that everything is coming from one source. So whether somebody would label it God, source energy, consciousness, whatever you may label that word, it is a source of energy that we come from. As a soul, we fragment from the source or from the consciousness, and we want to experience ourselves. So we come down into a physical body, but we are far more than the physical body, you see. We are more, we are a greater aspect that sits somewhere up there, if you want to say, if we want to put it in context where we're sitting. And with that, we can tap into those multi-dimensional aspects of ourselves. And when we start integrating with those aspects, then we can then start downloading information from our consciousness, and it comes in the form of downloadable light codes. Now, the light codes can be in a written format. It could be sung. It could be expressed through body movement. It could be spoken. It has lots of forms of coming through in a physical form. So most part, people would actually tap into light language, which would be an awakening aspects of your consciousness. Sometimes people, if you could say, in their contract, in their template of existence, don't or won't want to speak light language, to activate within that. But it doesn't mean to say that they can't speak it. Now, my ex-husband, I remember when he was laying next door to me, as I, we're not together now, obviously, ex, but he used to wake up and speak light language unconsciously. And I would look at him and say, well, he really didn't get what I was what I was about, but he would actually speak light language. And, some children are speaking light language. Some people may see it as, however they might actually put a label on it. It might be sort of language that is, speaking in tongues. Some people may have said that in the past with regards to, Catholic churches. It's the connection with a dialect that is of the light, basically.
Yes. Wow. And so you say people can express it through movement, through singing, through the word, through different ways. But how would you know? Would you know that you were connecting with the light language? So, I mean, I've never done it. My gift is something else. But how would I know if I didn't work with somebody like you that I was connected to the light? What would I potentially experience as that awakening?
So if I tell you how mine happened, first of all, and everybody else is sort of doing sort of awakening in different ways. Some people may already carry it through from their childhood and already sort of speak it as and when, and they not maybe necessarily understanding what that gift can do. But so the way that it activated within myself, hi Claire, hi, the way that and Claire also speaks light language. What happened with me is that during my first, I think I'd done Reiki 2, and I was doing some healing actually on my husband, and my hands just started to move on its own, just up and down, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, this is all a little bit strange. But it felt fine. You feel it. It feels very, so you got to go into your discernment and understand what's actually happening and question. Always good to question. Then this hand used to sort of go off and about, and then it started sort of making these sort of funny sort of shapes and things like that. Then this hand then started to do it as well, and during meditation I'd ask my higher self, or what is actually happening, and they didn't really sort of come back with much about it. But then one particular evening, and luckily my husband, and I think it's synchronicity that actually happened, but he went on a business trip. And one particular evening, I just woke up all of a sudden out of bed, sat up bolt upright, and started speaking light language. So it was the strangest. And I was like, what is going on? I hadn't got a clue. I was like,
wow. Where's that coming from?
Yeah, so I knew something was happening here, and I knew that I was really connecting with the angelics. So the angelics were really coming through, and they sort of show me the hands movement is very much like this. So that's how I know that they're coming in. Also, my head goes to the side. So I had these sort of like physical reactions when I'm working with certain people.
Yeah,
there were people, as in, you know, higher aspects. And then it just sort of grew and grew and grew, but I didn't really know what was actually happening. So I sort of searched on Facebook, searched on YouTube and things like that. And I started to connect with different people that understood what was happening. And then as I then started on that journey and I started speaking more and more and more different dialects, as I started to connect with different aspects of myself, then I then started really unveiling all of the density, so of the lower vibrations throughout my energetic field, which then allowed me to connect to higher levels of consciousness. So the more I cleared with my light language, the more I connected to my multidimensional aspects. And then it's that sort of gradual progression. And as I sort of rose up with that, then I then started to have greater understanding of what I was doing with my healing techniques, with the grid work that I do using codes, with the sort of moving through into the quantum field, the holographic system, templates. And you start getting all of this information being downloaded to you when you start tapping into information that maybe that you don't know of at the beginning, but are open to receive. And that's the really important message that I want to get across tonight is be open. Even if you don't understand it, it just means that, okay, so you might be tapping in at this level here, but actually what's up here? So if this is all here, what's up here? And what's up here? And what's up here? You know, I don't know it all, but what I know is that every time I push through a boundary and a barrier, it allows me to connect to another layer, and that then allow to another layer.
Yeah. And I think this is with a lot of people that come on here and will be on here. I think they realize that with here, there is a lot of, with any of this kind of spiritual work, it's once you open up to it, and like you said, be open to it, then things will come to you. If you keep pushing and pushing it away, it will not, unless something happens like a trauma or an awakening, because they, spirit, know you are meant to work with them, or the angelic realm, or whatever that happens to be for you. So I think it's not necessarily understanding it or grasping it all at once. It's more a case of just being open. And then I think sometimes on your path, you get to a certain age, and I say this on my soul plan, so I get with what you're saying completely when I'm doing my soul plans, is that we're here, up here, if you like, a world with that oneness, that source, and we come down and we get into this physical body. We do all material things, and then we get to an age, sometimes before, but generally when we've become a little bit more mature, shall we say, and the children are out the way and the house is sorted, and then things just start coming back to you, and I call it the soul hitting you, things, you know, come in your path to make you see, hear, feel, and then you think, well, whoa. And eventually when they get your attention, then they start to work with you. And that's when you must be open and be curious. I think it's important to everybody to say, be curious. Yes. Do not push them away. Do not say it's nonsense, because they'll just keep coming back until, I remember when, this is a little bit different with my mediumship. I used to, for years, get my head knocked back and my head knocked back, and I'd see something, and then one day I got so angry, I saw a puff of smoke, and I saw this face, and I went, "Are you my guide?" I was so angry, but you see, I was emotional. So when you're emotional, they come quicker, right? And I just went, he said, "Yes." I said, "Have you been doing that to me all these years?" He went, "Yes." I said, "Well, you better tell me your name." And he wrote it across my chest. But I knew then, I looked back and I knew that there had been tapping at me. So, and I think once you start working in, even though our work is slightly different, it's very much linked to the source. It's just like a different road, if you like. It's a bit, we're going somewhere. It's just so important that you just allow yourself to be, because what you were saying before about the source and about us being one, and there is more than my hand, that table, everything is energy, no matter what you think, even this phone is energy. You know, it's being open to the energy, and we just resonate at different levels. And if we can connect with that, that's why you say the scientists, people like Bruce Lipton's bringing a lot of that through, isn't he, with him? You know, and if we can start to have that, well, I don't need the proof, but some people need the proof. You know, we can start open to it. Our lives in this universe and everything could be so different, particularly with the healing of ourselves. And for healing, I talk very much of like just simply giving people motivational tips or being open to the meditation. Meditation is a massive gateway, and everybody in this world should meditate. I meditate every day, and I know a lot of people here I'm seeing coming in are meditators or have done Reiki or are working on that. And I know a lot of these people here are very much on that, and I know they're kind of loving what you're saying. So absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So tell me, somebody wanted to kind of wanted to get involved in this, what would they have to do?
In light language.
Before that, what would be the benefit, in your words?
So having a energy healing,
that, and then becoming attuned or becoming introduced or curious or working with the light language.
Okay, so if you've not been activated with light language already, there may be a block that is held within your system. So sometimes we put those blocks on ourselves at a soul level. So we have a contract, we have a, you know, until we reach this stage, that block then can be released. So sometimes there's actually a soul contract within that then would be really connected with somebody and think to yourself, oh my, I really need to go and see her. So that it tends to be, what happens is that you have this sort of contractual soul to soul connection with someone that would activate the codes within you. Sometimes it happens outwardly, so it may happen from your higher self, it may be universal. So sometimes it may be that you're reaching a certain level of vibration that then naturally that almost like a seal is broken within the throat chakra.
Yes.
But if you've already activated it, then it is about meditating, connecting to your higher self, your I am presence, and start to really connect and communicate with that to allow you to grow. Now, I did it all on my own, but there are an awful lot of people now that have awakened their light language. Sometimes it's activated inwardly, sometimes it's outwardly activated. I would say if you've ignited it or want to know more about it, then find more people around you that actually speak it. Because when you find your tribe members and you gather together, you activate each other.
Yes.
So so I have a client that's in Amsterdam. His name's Robert, and when I speak with Robert, he connects with me. He gives me a key code. We have a soul contract. So he gives me a key code that activates a light language within him, that activates something within me. I get a transmission that comes down, and then I then activate something within him. So it's really, really strange. When you start to work with people that are speaking light language already, there is an understanding at a soul level. Yes. With the light language codes that come in. So like the other day, I was with a group of friends, and all of them speak light language. There were 6 of us that gathered, and we were all speaking the same dialect, and then moving from one dialect to another, which was really very interesting. As a Nicola mind, as a human mind, we were sitting there thinking, what is going on? But you just know at a soul level, and then we then put the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together and actually understand what, and we can translate the information that's coming through, which is really important as you evolve with light language. So it's all about speaking it and using it. That's the main thing.
I'm coming to your question in a minute, Diana. Yeah, but what I want to know is, I mean, I know Claire, and I've heard Claire sing, and her voice, and it comes out very beautifully. I don't understand it. I can't understand the things she's saying. I know now she started translating. But when you 6 were together and you started to all talk the light language, did you understand each other?
You do at soul level, because it's a language of light. There is not a linear translation to it.
Yes.
So I speak an awful lot of different dialects, and they've sort of awakened as sort of the more that I actually sort of raise my vibration. So I've downloaded an awful lot of and integrated a lot of dialects within my system. So the evolution of my understanding of light language has really sort of propelled itself forward. In the very beginning, I really didn't understand it, and that's where a lot of people get stuck, and because they get into fear, because if they don't understand it, then they then go into fear, fight or flight mode. But what is important is to know that when it comes and it feels right, because it filters through the heart, then if you know that it is absolutely right because it feels right, then you've got to use that sense of discernment to say, yes, this feels right. I'm getting a nod on this from my higher self. I feel right. This is okay for me. As you progress, you either get to do sort of clearing with light language, activations, download transmissions, and then you sort of move on. This is how my path was sort of met, is then I was integrating what actually was, what did it actually mean? So as I do a healing, I would then do the healing, completely go into a pure channel state. So I disconnect from my ego mind. I allow it to channel through me. And then the more that I can surrender and trust the process, the more that those codes can come through with more clarity. Once I've done that healing, then I go into then what actually happened there. And then my guides then come in and my multidimensional aspects come in and then actually describe what actually happened. And then they give up messages over. So where you would get spirit coming in and talking, they would come through with the dialect, and then I translate it, and then messages are given to people with their star families and things like that. So it's very interesting as it all progresses, but you've got to allow and trust it.
And I can resonate on lots of levels. And even when I do the readings for people, sometimes I can get somebody coming in speaking Spanish and I don't speak Spanish or Latin or something like that, and at first I'd go, oh, what they're saying, but once I relaxed and trusted, it was all translated for me. So on that level, it might be a very small level compared to what we do a similar sort of thing, right? I want to ask a question, but I get that, and I love it, but I really want to emphasize to people, I want to go back to the comments, I really want to emphasize to people that even when I'm doing my development classes and I'm doing my psychic development classes and other things and my meditation, it really is just pursuing it, surrendering it, and just allowing it to be there. Because what we do, we get frustrated, we get angry, it's not working, it's not happening. Even when I do my mindfulness groups, I'm not feeling this bliss that you talk about because you're fighting too hard for it. You have to relax and let it come, and trust, just trust. What I want to do is ask you a question here from Diane. Diane says, thank you. I was going to ask how this benefits your life. I understand that this has enhanced your experience in healing. So do you address
so absolutely, my healing modality has gone through the roof. It's literally just tapped into higher levels of consciousness, into the quantum field and beyond. So it absolutely has altered that. Benefiting my life, it's literally changed my life because I've been able to come out of all that fear and anguish and work and do my inner work. So when we mean our inner work, which I'm sure that you know of, that it is actually looking at those aspects of yourself that's slightly denser, that hold those emotional states that are of fear, anger, blaming, all of those sort of things. But as you use those dialects to cleanse your own system, you're allowing yourself to tap in and download, just like you would on a computer system, download information that is tapping into higher levels of understanding. As you bring in higher, you release lower. So as you go along the scale of things, you're letting go of things that no longer serve you. And within that, it creates space to enable you to download stuff. So just like you would download, like you might get a load of emails in, but then your inbox gets so full up, you've got to delete some so some more can come in. It's exactly the same sort of thing. It's that sort of template, is that when you let go of those lower density emotional feelings that may be trapped within your energetic field and also in your physical body, you're allowing yourself to actually download those higher frequencies. And that gives you access to higher levels of consciousness. So if you look at the Akashic records, you may want to call it that. Consciousness is about actually tapping into available information.
Yes.
And as you tap into that higher capabilities of information, then you'll be able to actually download that, and then therefore actually then outwardly, show and guide other people on that journey. Once you've downloaded it, integrated it into your system, then allowing it to actually be as your normality, then you can then actually go out and help others in the process.
Let me ask you a question. You said something right at the beginning, and I can't remember now because we've been speaking for it. Well, it was when you and I were speaking in the green room, or whether it was when you first came on. But you did say when you was a little girl, you was very shy. And obviously, you've moved on. And I'm very much about putting people in their power, taking their power back, standing in the light, et cetera, et cetera. And what I'm going to ask you, especially for people that I always say they need to find their voice. They need to open the chakra. However people want to take it. It is so important. And I come across in my day-to-day work, in counseling with people and mentoring, that a lot of people, particularly women, that they find it hard to express themselves or say what they want to do. So my question to you is, this shyness, did it come through your life until you found light language, or had you already dealt with that shyness and become more powerful and confident?
Yeah. So definitely as a child, really very, very shy. Teenage years, very, very shy. I married my first husband. My first boyfriend was my husband, and I was married for 32 years. So throughout that time, I was very much in his shadow. I was very sort of the wife, very old-fashioned relationship. Did a little bit of part-time work. Really enjoyed. I actually was before I had my children, was a keep fit instructor. So I did actually have a little bit of. I had that underneath sort of something that was fighting to come through, but it was very much that. It was almost like I stepped into a different persona when I sort of stepped into that role. And then I never connected to an awful lot of friendship groups, parents from school. I sort of struggled with really, to fit in with sort of different friendship groups. And I didn't have many friends at all, actually. Then when I started then really on this process, and I would say probably in the last 5 years, which is your original question, is after the 5 years after my light language kicked in, that is when I can actually talk to anybody.
Wow. So there's obviously that underlying sort of, yeah. And so I'm a believer that through my soul plans that we come here, we have a mission where we're here to be service souls or whatever it has to be. We've got to experience certain things. So do you believe, or can you see how that shyness served you to allow you to become the woman you are today? Yeah.
So my soul contract, your plan, if you want to say that, is that to experience the polarity. So absolutely, I'm feeling that I'm this sort of warrior-like woman, very, in my feminine energy now integrated with my masculine. I'm fully balanced. That I feel that I know my purpose work. I know my journey, and I know my absolute, sort of why I'm here. So so it's important that I know that this, and I've just forgotten the question you asked in the first place, because just going in, because I was
You've answered the question that I just asked you. I said, did you step into power because as that shyness served you?
Yes.
You've answered that. You have to go on in different
ways. I think polarity. Yeah.
And that's what and I want to harbour on that point, but I think Claire wants to share something in a minute. But Alec, there definitely is hope for all of us. And then when I know we sort of, Avril, I know that there is hope, and I know that we can go through all these things. But I believe that through the traumas that we have in life, and whether it's a small T or a big T, we can really find ourselves because of this, and that trauma will help us become even more stronger and powerful. And so I want to say, yes, Avril, there is hope for everybody. And I think we've just got to look back. And I always say to everybody that works with me, look back at that and say, what have I learned from that? What is coming through? What is that feeling? Don't be frightened of it, like you said before. Embrace it. In meditation, I say, be curious of what is happening. What's that emotion? What's that thought? Where is it coming from? Just allow it to be there. And people want to rush, and then they push it away. About with it and let it naturally unfolding, isn't it?
I think what happens is that what a lot of people need to be aware of is that your inner guidance will show you what you need to do. So it's about actually connecting with that inner guidance, that inner knowing. Is that, do you need to take one little baby step at a time, or will it be just be all downloaded? You know that the firmer that you create your foundations, the easier it is for your onward journey. So your guides, your source, however you want to see this sort of energy that sits and supports you on your journey, will only give you what is right for you. So if your template is, so if your contract is that, like, I know quite a few souls that have come in, they've activated and they're off on this high trajectory, they're booming away, and they just literally just do it because they are so ready for it. Yeah. Some souls, like myself, was on a very gradual process, that it was sort of coming in at a nice steady pace so that I could really integrate it and fully understand it. So you will get what you need.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's about trusting that. Yeah.
Definitely. I believe that. I think Claire just wanted to share something. Let me just get that one in there. What she says. She says, I can understand from my higher self. I get a feeling of understand where the dialect comes from, and the songs come through from past lives. So do you think very much that this then, Nicola, is connected with past life? So there's a connection there somewhere?
Okay, so there is something that we would call the now moment. So everything in the quantum field happens in the now. So when we look at the past, it will be a past now moment, but it still is in the now. Now it's going to be like, what? So, so the now moment in the quantum field is now, like our now moment is now. So past incarnation, so past lives, are actually serving concurrently in this now moment. And it'd probably be a bit like, what? When I first heard it, I was like, say that again.
In your opinion, in a way of sort of like acting out, is it like them sort of coming back to act that out or to finish that in some kind of a way, or is it just bringing that knowledge and information through for now?
Yes, really complicated actually, because if you so let's really stretch your minds here tonight, is that everything is in the now moment. Okay, no matter what stage, what incarnation with past lives, it's always in the now. If it's in the now, it's in the quantum field. If it's in the quantum field, it is in the consciousness. It's in the Akashic records that you can download at any time. Within that now moment, there are also probabilities. So probabilities mean that you can actually be coexisting in this same lifetime on different timelines.
Okay, I get that.
At a soul level, we are experiencing. We are experiencing and wanting to gather information for the evolution of our soul.
Yeah.
So if we look outside of the egoic mind, so Nicola sitting here in the physical form, which is my egoic mind.
Yeah.
I'm connecting to my multidimensional aspects, which is me. So if we look at guides, so an angelic, it is me. If I'm tapping into the quantum field, it is me. Yeah. Everything that I tap into is me.
Yes.
Because it's all one.
Yeah.
So if it's happening all concurrently, through all time and space,
yes,
I can tap into the past life, which is actually now, and tap into that dialect as a form, so the song, like Claire was saying, is a remembrance song. Yes. So I get what she's saying, but there's another layer on top of that.
Yes.
So remembrance songs that come in is a soul level song that will come in that activates the subconscious mind.
Yes.
To allow it to become conscious and bring it forward. So if we have a subconscious, which is sitting in the back end, we don't necessarily know what's going on there. But when we bring it forward into the conscious mind, we're then aware of it totally.
Yeah.
So what happens with the dialects, especially when they come through with the remembrance songs, is that there is the person that's actually receiving the download of the song would go, I know that song. Where is that from? You get this sort of, and then it activates actually many, many times tears, emotional states. It just allows you to remember who you are. And this is the practice. It is about bringing us back self to one. It is about the remembrance of who we are. And we are more than the physical being.
Oh, absolutely. But also, when you talk then about the emotions and that coming up and remembering, I intuitively feel that is also very much a healing process.
Yes.
You know, for that person as well. So within this process, there can be a lot of healing found, even though we don't need to know what that healing is for. It's just, again, like we said before, accepting it and surrendering to it, and just know that it's clearing something from you so that you can move forward to progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I first started on my journey, when I heard that somebody was a healer, I thought it was like somebody broke your leg and then you heal your leg. I thought it was very much a physical thing. But healing is very much an emotional journey. It is a mental journey. It is the energetic bodies that you're healing. So you'll get a sort of a resonance that moves on into the physical body, like actually healing our body. But it actually is the healing is the process of releasing the density, releasing the lower states of remembrance, and moving into the light, which holds the higher frequencies of light. So it's about the remembrance of who you are.
And that's why I think people, even if they do this work, whatever level they're on, whether it's sort of starting with the meditation, starting with the Reiki and whatever, I think they need to understand that once they start to activate this side of themselves or surrender to it or get involved in it, then automatically those fear states just start to gradually move and move you to the different levels that you need to be. And that healing will occur. Whether you know it or not. So I think that is important, definitely. And now people don't get that. And I think that's why we would, and I don't want to get into political thingy because it's not me and loads of bad emails tomorrow, but the bottom line is, before the pharmaceuticals produced all that they produced, there was just the energy healing and the natural medicines from the trees and so on. So I think this is definitely certain thinking about the healing, removing the density, and sort of forward and seeing your love. And I'm going to say something about Claire, and Claire always seems to be my topics. When I first met Claire, she was on crutches, full of fibromyalgia and other things, and I'm not saying it's completely gone now with her. She has her moments, but she is a completely different person. And her journey started not just with mindfulness with me, but it was mindfulness and meditation that started with her. And she just today is a completely changed person, and she could barely walk, barely function, on a day-to-day basis. So to me, she's living proof of what you can do once you start tuning into this energy.
Absolutely. So our higher self doesn't want us to be in physical dis-ease. It doesn't want that. We are divine, sovereign beings. And what our soul wants and the journey back is back into that sovereignty. And so when we then start to tap into our multidimensional aspects, connection to all that we are, then it opens up all of these possibilities to release all that density. And it is that inner work that we have to look at, both the shadow self, which are the things that we don't like to sit and face, and all the things that we can progress onto. So it's to look across the whole spectrum, and and there are layers and layers and layers. Layers and layers and layers. And there's some things that I do and think, God, I thought I'd done that. And then it comes back round again. But every time it comes back round, it lessens, it shortens. So the more inner work that I do, it just condenses. So it might just take me half an hour to clear something that might have taken me a week in the very beginning, And so it's a quickening process the more inner work you do.
Definitely. Avril asked the question. So all our guides are ourselves. Is that correct?
So there are layers within that question in itself, isn't there? So if we actually see that we are all one, then I am you, Avril, and I am Suzanne also. But it is the fragment of the soul that is experiencing it from that separation. Okay. So in a way, yes, our guides are us as well. But also when we look at it from a level of spiritual realm, so if we look at it from that level of consciousness, we then still see aspects of ourselves as outside of ourselves. So it may be that it might be your mum come through, or your nan, or someone like, you know, a spirit guide. It might come through and feel like it is in separation, but ultimately I am you.
Yeah, we all, because we're
so the universe is very paradoxical, depend upon your perspective.
Absolutely. And I think also, I think what we were saying before about wherever you are, it's also about that journey. So rather than to try and jump from A to C, you can't get there without going through B. So it's just, and you know, and I think it's also important on this journey that while we're all spiritual beings and at different levels, we are at different levels. And, you know, we mustn't look up another person or another situation and think that we should race to get there, because we are on our own journey and we have to learn that step by step. There is no room, because we get in my point, you get there, and then you get from A to C, you're living then in the ego rather than in the spirit. And that's what
absolutely. That is absolutely so important, that we need to know that you have to do your A, B, C, D, E, F before you get to your G. And absolutely every single truth that is held by every single person that is experiencing their perspective is always going to be their truth. So regardless of what level of, and there is no hierarchy with any level, it just means that somebody's taken a footstep in front of you. That's all it is. Every soul will go through the same process. But as you raise your vibration, you'll be able to tap into other truths. So my truth when I started on my journey 8-9 years ago is completely different to what my now truth is. Doesn't mean to say that what I was saying back then was I was lying about it. It still was my truth. But as we start on our journey, it's important to take every little step and create your firm foundation of understanding. You know, we're talking quite quantum today. And I'm sort of like, we're going to be stretching a lot of people. But it's just to say that if I'm an example of where I've come and where Claire has come with all of her inner healing that she's done, is that if Claire and I have done it, that you have done it, and lots of other people have done it, then regardless of how you feel about yourself on your journey, you can do it too. And this is what's so important, is that everybody is capable, more than capable. You are divine. You are the light. So therefore you can, you know, and it's about stepping out of your mind and stepping into your heart. That is where you find your answers. This will stop you when you think it. You've got to step out of your head.
And I love the thing, we had a chat earlier today, and I just want to bring that in, and then we'll see if there's any more questions and where we go from there. But we talked today about the light, that we are the light, we're all light beings, and that collectively we shine a brighter light, and then ultimately we then attract other people to the light. And that's, I thought that was a lovely sort of analogy as what we were talking about, and that's what we're all doing, all trying to go to the source, the light, in whatever fashion, learn what we have to learn along the way.
Absolutely. And they always sort of give me this sort of visual of dropping a pebble into a still pond of water, that when we actually drop that pebble in, we create ripples. So whatever we do, whatever we say, however we behave, what we think, everything, every action has an effect. So we need to be just mindful of the words we use, the things that we do, how we connect, that will create ripples outwardly, and that creates ripples with your family members. It creates with your work people, creates, and even if you actually go into the universe, it creates ripples into the universe. So, you know, it's about actually doing your inner work, because when it's as above, so below, as you work and do your inner work, it comes into your outward reality, your creation, and then it moves into your consciousness. And that is what people are tapping into. Now, if we're tapping into levels of consciousness that is bringing in more high vibrational light, then the more availability for the masses, the collective, to actually tap into that. If we're inputting and putting loads of despair and fear and, you know, tapping into the news and things like that, that's going on, and we're carrying that signature of energy, that is what we're going to tap into. That is what we're going to be creating in our everyday life. That's what we're going to be creating into our energetic system and into our physical bodies.
Yeah.
So it's about actually stepping out of the head, going into the heart, going through into your positive affirmations, going into your meditations, journaling, looking things from a different perspective. And that's really important, so that you actually look at it, reflect, analyze, go in, okay, what is this showing me? Is this a cycle of experience? And if it's a cycle, then what is it that I can do to bring me out into more of a spiral perspective, up into a higher level of understanding? And it's important that we just keep on trusting, surrendering to the process.
Absolutely. So I'm going to kind of round it up here now. And I've moved that off there, but I want to also send me through or put it on here or tell people how we can get in touch with you in a minute. But also I wanted to ask you, and I think we're very much on the same wave level here. But so if people want to start to begin on this journey, how can they enhance their light, their being? What would you suggest that if things says, well, I'm going to get in touch with Nicola tomorrow or whatever, or I'm interested, but I want to start a process, a bit like what I would tell people to do in practices. What would you say, a couple, 2 or 3 main things that they should start to do to get on this journey, or something similar to open?
Yeah, the main things that I would always say, and I run a little program for children as well, and I think you've got to get it really, really very simple, and the simpler the better. The most important thing is about connection, and the connection to all things. So connection to the earth. So we're looking at going into nature, really connecting to all around us, you know, the animals that we're connecting with, the trees, and, you know, the environmental things. So really grounding your energy by anchoring it in, really being in your physical body. So that is the first stage, which is being in your physical body, in the reality that you're in. Because if you're not anchoring into your body, then you're just going to float off and just want to go elsewhere. You just want to get out of here. Okay? With the physical body, it's really important to connect with your physical body. So being aware of your breath is the most important thing that I found that actually enabled me to start tapping into high levels of energy. Because the breath is the bridge between the physical body and the energetic field. If you connect with your breath, which is not only breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide, it's also about breathing in the light and letting go of density. So you connect to everything around you, to your breath, connect to your physical body, and allow yourself to move your physical body with a practice, maybe a bit of qigong or yoga, something like that is a really good practice, so that you start then being aware of the invisible self. So the energetic field, the central chakra system, the auric field, because when you start connecting to the energy around you, then you can start tapping into if anything is actually needed to leave you, which then moves on to energy work. And also simultaneously connecting to the universe, which is through meditation. So when you connect upward, downward and inward, that is the important first steps on your journey.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Well, I just want to say, Chad, I've got all my questions now. I'm amazed. My mind is blown. I love it, but I can completely resonate and connect with you without a shadow of a doubt. And we will be speaking again for sure. I've just got Claire saying thank you very much. Lots of love to you both. Lots of people saying that. Claire's just giving me a bit of a big up there. We did the breathing work through mindfulness with Claire, and that's what the connection, that's the first meditation that we do. So yeah, thank you very much. But I just want to say to you, for everybody that's been on tonight, thank you very much. I want to say to you, just kind of hang around and wait for me. But thank you very much. Lots of love and blessings to you. I'm grateful for everything you've shared tonight. And we will be meeting up and talking and doing a little bit of work together for sure. So you've brought a lot of energy. I feel it in here tonight. And you're going to touch a lot of people, whether it's tonight or it's on catch up. And a lot of appreciation and a lot of love coming in here. April saying thank you to you. Really, you're the leader and the life of all of this. So thank you to everybody. So I'm going to put you in the green room. So just want to say bye to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, beautiful. That was light language. Oh wow, that was beautiful. It touched my heart actually. Thank you so much. Just hold on 1 second. I agree. And your mind blown. Oh, Diane just says, I agree, Susan. My mind is blown. Amazing. Sending lots of love and healing to you both. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, Nicola, for all the time and all the sharing that you did tonight. Amazing. Thank you. Right, guys, there you were, that amazing Nicola Russell. Well, I'm absolutely so intrigued. I think I'm going to go to the next level with another piece of work now. So I will be working with her. Thank you very much, Juana, for your comments too. Yeah, great sharing, loving the light. But thank you all. You make this possible. You make the sharing possible. You obviously are the lights as well that spread this on, not to yourself, but to other people as well as. And remember, meditation tomorrow morning, 6:30, bright and early, just to get us up on that foot. If the technology works for me, because I've had a lot of interference, but we'll try tomorrow. Remember, if you want my motivational tips, then drop me a message in, and I'll make sure that Nicola's information gets put into here on all the pages that I'm going to share it with. But if you have difficulty finding it or anything, then let me know. In the meantime, I just want to say I am blessed to have you here as part of this. I love you all, and I'm wishing you a blessed evening and the wonderful days ahead. Stay safe. Love you.